I'm here with Jonathan Roumie. The actor in the Jesus Revolution movie plays Lonnie Frisbee.
Lonnie Frisbee, yes.
So glad you're with us, Jonathan. Thank you so much for just taking a few minutes today and just chatting.
It's my honor, Pastor. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's go back and talk a little bit about the movie that's about to come out, right?
Sure.
When is the release date? When is it going to be out in theaters?
Yeah, so you can get tickets at jesusrevolution.movie. Yeah, for nationwide release on February 24th.
So this movie I'm excited about it because I've done a lot of studying as it relates to the Jesus Revolution and the movement and everything. And
yeah.
I know older people that God has used to impact my life that have been impacted through that movement. What was it like to play this character?
It was amazing. Lonnie Frisbee was this hippie street preacher who went from, literally living on the streets to having a vision of Jesus, showing him bringing thousands of hippies to Christ. And when he had this vision, it was out here in California, and he came down off a mountain and basically started preaching the gospel. And in fact, brought thousands and thousands of hippies to Jesus over the course of a few years, and started this movement, which Time magazine coined, the Jesus Revolution, and it spread all over the country and ultimately internationally, and ended up being the greatest spiritual revival that we've had in this country in recent history. So we hope for another one soon.
Did you know anything about him prior to this movie?
I had no idea who he was. I'd never heard of him. I didn't grow up with parents who had heard of him. They were, I'm a child of immigrants, so they didn't know who he was, and I didn't know. So once I started reading about him and the movement and how it got started, and the ways in which God used Lonnie to reach and heal like thousands of people, was just extraordinary to me. And the script is just absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait for people to see the film.
Yeah, I'm excited about the movie. To know what I know about his life and to see how God could use him, that brings hope for me or anybody, right?
Amen.
That means God can do anything with anybody, regardless of where you are or where you've been. And I believe that we're still experiencing some of the effects of that still to this day.
Amen.
It helped create, momentum that is happening now today.
I agree.
I believe our nation needs to see another Jesus Revolution.
Man.
And where you said you were an immigrant, where are you originally from?
Well, my parents are immigrants. I'm a son of immigrants. So my father is from Egypt, and my mother is from Ireland. And I was born and raised in New York City, in the suburbs of New York.
Did you have any type of church experience or anything in your past?
I did. Yeah, I was baptized in the church when I was a baby, and grew up. I started out Greek Orthodox, and then when we moved to the suburbs, the community we most connected with was a Catholic church down the street, and I made my sacraments there and grew up there. And then through, once college came, it kind of wavered and waned a little bit. And then as I moved out to LA and really needed to double down on what it was that God was calling me to do, I started growing closer to my faith, and about 4 years ago, I had a deeper conversion that really put me in the track that I'm on today. 3 months after that moment, that sort of reversion, I ended up booking The Chosen, which is the series I'm on and I'm most known for. And I
want to just mention,
history.
You play Jesus. You play Jesus in Chosen.
I do,
and you do such an incredible job.
Thank you.
And it's doing so well. It's a huge success.
Praise God.
So you go from playing Jesus to playing a hippie
that
has an encounter with Jesus.
That's right.
And then you're going to go back and play Jesus again.
That's right.
So what is that like to go from playing Jesus to hippie, now back to Jesus?
It's a whole lot of Jesus, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really taken me much deeper in my faith journey than I ever anticipated I would get to go as a performer, and sort of allowed me to marry my career with my faith, which was, I think, has always been a dream, but I just never knew what it would look like until God showed me. Yeah.
It really seems, Jonathan, that God has handpicked you for the roles that you're playing. Chosen, Jesus Revolution, Lonnie Frisbee, which is such a catalyst to one of the greatest moves of God ever in our world. And God has chosen you for this time to play that and to hear you talk about your faith. It's encouraging, it's inspiring that you would have such an authentic conversion encounter with Jesus. What would you say to somebody that may be on the fence, may be entertaining the idea of thinking, about Jesus, or, what does spirituality look like? What would you say to a person like?
I think, Pastor, that we spend so much time, especially in our youth, looking to fill a void. And if we don't have the church experience, if we don't have faith, if we weren't raised with faith, if we didn't have an encounter with faith, we spend our lives trying to fill that void with something else, whether it's fame, money, drugs, sex, whatever it is, whatever the vice could be to try to fill that void. It's never going to fill it. But once you encounter Christ, once you encounter Jesus, the authentic Jesus, God, made man, God incarnate, you then all of a sudden realize that's the thing. He's the one that you've been looking for all along. And then once you start cultivating a relationship with him, your life just explodes in ways that you never could have imagined. Everything gets better. Every area of your life is just filled to the brim with the excess of joy and goodness and I could go on, but
so good.
Yeah.
I could drop the mic right now and just give my life to Jesus all over again. So one last thought here. Here we are in Angel Stadium.
Ooh.
There are going to be tens of thousands of people here tonight, and they're all going to be singing songs and worshiping Jesus, and Pastor Greg Laurie is going to preach a message. And he's a product of the Jesus Revolution.
Yes.
He's a product of being in something that God used Lonnie Frisbee to start. I don't know exactly how that dynamic all connects, but there's a connection there in some way.
That's why you got to see the movie.
Yeah. I can't wait to see the
That's
movie.
Right. We explain everything.
What does it feel like, though, to learn what you've learned, to play the part that you've played? You know a lot that the average person doesn't know yet. And now here we are in this stadium, and seeing Greg Laurie preach and people going to give their life to the Lord. What does that feel like? What just goes through your mind?
It is surreal, the magnanimity and the impact and the ways in which God will use anyone and everyone. And it's just mind-blowing how he'll connect everybody in some way to for his purposes, I guess I would say. Yeah. It's just so cool, man. I mean, it's art imitating life, imitating art, and it's circular, it's cyclical, it's dizzying to think about.
Wow.
How amazing.
Only God could do all this.
Nah, that's it. No one else could touch that. Only God could do that.
Thank you so much for taking a moment to talk with us and the TBN family. Jonathan Roumie.
My pleasure. Thank you, Pastor.